you would like to play as the Byzantines. So you'd like to play as the last surviving remain of the Roman Empire, unless of course you remake it. So the Byzantines, somewhat, pretty much almost everyone's sort of fan favorite nation to see survive. Probably, I would argue, like the second or third hardest nation to play early game. They have some of the worst ideas I've ever seen in the game, and their starting position is only second in worst to Albania, really. I mean, you can make an argument for Theodoro, uh, Tribunes, or the other Anatolian miners, but by and large, you're dead. Plain and simple. So, to survive as the Byzantines means you're going to have to beat the Ottomans. There's no way around that. You start off the game with about 46 development, and you're sitting next to a 313 development Ottomans, which means you're never going to be able to beat them in the fields on your own. That's important. In fact, you might not be able to beat them in the field until you've pushed into Anatolia and you're actually defeating them. Like actually actively taking lands and starting wars on your own. Instead, the only way you're going to survive is a defensive war with super powerful allies, and the Ottomans being greedy. So, where in the world can you get allies as the Byzantines? Now, this is tricky to consider. You would think one of your best allies in the world could be the Mamelukes, but they don't really like you. They're going to consider your army too weak, and the different religious group makes getting them as an ally nigh on impossible. It's doable if you're lucky, but overall they get trounced by the Ottomans pretty early on regardless. That means you have to look elsewhere. Now, this is where it gets a bit interesting. There's pretty much three nations in Europe that can oppose the Ottomans: Austria, Hungary, and Poland, Lithuania. Assuming Poland gets the union with Lithuania early on. It can happen, it cannot happen. If it doesn't happen and you want them as your allies, give up. Poland on its own is really weak. So you've got to get an alliance with them. So first starting moves. First thing you need to get a statesman. You need to get a diplomatic reputation advisor. And you need to get him either immediately or after a single re-roll of an advisor. You can't afford any more money spent. Then the next thing you have to do, you have to unmaintain your fort down in Morera, or actually get rid of it. I recommend keeping it though, because in a war with the Ottomans, Constantinople is going to die. Next things you have to do is you have to move your army from Constantinople down here to southern Greece. You also want to raise 3 more infantry units to try and get to your force limit. You want to send a diplomat to Poland, Lithuania, Hungary, and or Austria. I recommend sending it to both Hungary and Poland because you're not sure which way it's going to go. In fact, you're probably going to have to hit 100% improve relations before you even have a hope of getting an alliance with one of them. And if you're going to get Poland, Lithuania, you've got to get it during their war with the Teutonic Order, when their army has been reduced enough, they're willing to consider you as a good ally. So it's tricky in that sense. Hungary, you can usually get as an ally pretty much most games. And it's not that hard. You almost never going to get Austria because they immediately will max out their diplomatic relation slots, which means it's going to be impossible to be friends with them. Now, the thing you want to look for is first getting the diplomatic advisor, and second, you want to get the Ottomans as rivals to both Hungary and Poland. If you do not get those two or one of those two, I recommend both, you're going to have to restart. Now, this is one of the hardest nations to play for a reason. You may have to restart 20 or 30 times. I have managed to get the achievement, Restore the Byzantine Empire. I think it's Basilis. But I had to do it about 50, 60 times. So set aside a whole day or at least 4 or 5 hours just to restart the game, die, and keep trying. I advise you're probably going to die a couple times even if you get the ideal starts, just because the way the game works. But restarting over and over is your best way. Now, if the Ottomans are rivaled with either Hungary or Poland, Lithuania, and you can get an alliance with them, there's one more step you have to take, and it requires the more modern game mechanics. You want to go to the core Quinaloo over here, or if you can see the Timurids, Usually you can't. And you want to go to them and you want to offer to be a tributary state. Now, this is a bit interesting and it might not work. Sometimes it's helpful, sometimes it isn't. So, a tributary state, you don't have to do anything to them except pay them money or monarch points per year. In exchange, though, they'll defend you from enemies, i.e., the Ottomans. So, if you have an alliance with Hungary, Poland, Lithuania, and the Korkulu, and the Ottomans attack you, you're almost guaranteed to win that defensive war. Of course, the normal caveats of nations not joining you, the Ottomans having godlike generals, etc., etc., etc. If the Ottomans have Tech 5 and everyone else has Tech 4, there's no way you're going to win, on and on and on. But then you just sit and wait. You might be able to get an alliance with Serbia. You might help Hungary kill some of Venice. I had a game where I took the Greek islands, all before the Ottomans even attacked me. Since the Ottomans are unlikely to attack you, if you have 10 troops at the beginning, which is why you're raising the armies down here, you're likely to survive long enough to get an alliance. Obviously, if the Ottomans attack, you're doomed and restart. Now, if you manage all of that, you're going to have to wait until the Ottomans attack you, which could be up to like 30 or 40 years. They're more likely to attack you if they take a mission called City of World's Desire, which gives them a claim on Constantinople here, and they'll be after you. But if they do, usually your defensive allies will join you. Hungary can sometimes beat the Ottomans in the war. Poland, Lithuania almost always succeeds. If they attack you, you just want to hide down here in southern Greece and let your allies do everything. I mean, maybe later in the war you can try and, take one or two of these forts up here and take the lower provinces. But you're not going to win an offensive war. The only hope you would have of winning an offensive war with the Ottomans without them attacking you, so a defensive war, would be if you could get Hungary and Poland, Lithuania to join you in the war against the Ottomans. And even then it's doubtful, just because of the way war enthusiasm happens. So, get a diplomatic advisor, move your army out of Constantinople down here to Greece, raise 3 more troops, mothball this fort. I disbanded the rest of my navy except for my transport ships because you cannot beat the Ottoman navy of, I think it's like 25 ships or so at the beginning of the game. Get a diplomatic advisor, get the alliances, become a tributary state of whichever is the strongest horde you can see, and then just sit and wait for the Ottomans to attack you. As I said, if they attack you, defensive war with some really good allies, you can win. Once you win, you want to take a mission called Recover Greece, by the way. If you win, you want to try and get, of all the provinces you can steal from the Ottomans early on, you want to take Edirne here, or however you say this province, because that cuts the crossing to the Ottomans. Once you have, for example, the crossing here, if you fight another war with the Ottomans, your fort here will prevent them moving out of either of these provinces, allowing you to siege down all their other lands in Greece and Bulgaria and Macedonia. And usually you only get a couple provinces from the war. You're not going to be able to 100 war score the Ottomans before your allies want to leave, even in a defensive war usually. So you want to take a couple provinces. You want to take Edirne, probably want to take Salansk, or however you say it. This province, Thessalonia, or whatever. Take those 2. Peace out of the war. Next war, you'll be a lot stronger because you'll have stolen about 30 development from the Ottomans. They'll be that much weaker unless they conquer all these miners over here. And then you do it again. You wait for them either to attack you or you call in your 2 allies. You want to make sure you outnumber the Ottomans like 2-1 or 1.5-1. And obviously your big goal would be to kick them out of Europe entirely, because of course this is usually considered the border of Europe, or sometimes over here. Kick them out of this area, try and subdue probably Serbia, Bosnia, Wallachia, and essentially, and then worry about pushing to Anatolia. You are extremely lucky later on because you get missions like Recover Greece, where you get claims on huge amounts of lands. You'll get one, kick the Ottomans out of Europe. You'll get one, reconquer Bulgaria. You'll get one, restore the Holy Land. You'll get one, conquer Egypt, on and on and on. You'll even get a mission to take Rome at some point. So once you get going, the Byzantines are pretty powerful. There's not much to say about your ideas. It's a bit debatable what ideas you take. Some people will take defensive for the increased morale. I'm tending towards lately taking administrative to get the reduced mercenary maintenance and the reduced core cost creation, because the first Byzantine idea is reduced mercenary maintenance, so -50 makes it a lot more reasonable to hire mercenaries. And since the Ottomans have such a deep manpower pool, even in later wars, you're going to be using a lot of mercenaries. So, again, diplomatic advisor, alliance with Poland, Lithuania, Hungary, or Austria, become a tributary state of the core Quinlu, flee Constantinople, build up your army down here, and wait. It's a very simple strategy. It's going to take many, many tries. If you're lucky enough to get it on your first try, boy, I wish I was you when I did it. But you're looking at 60, 70 tries probably on average till you know what you're doing. And that's as a good Europa player. If you're new to the game, don't try the Ottomans. It's pretty much useless. Anyway, thank you. Hopefully that will help you learn how to play the Ottomans. If you're really desperate to see it all, you can, request that I try and play the Byzantines at some point, because I do Let's Plays. But again, it's going to take a lot of tries, even for someone like me. There are some people who do it. Go look at their videos. This is just a video if you want to try it. That is the best strategy I've come up with. The only other strategy I can possibly think would be try and conquer, I don't know, take a Venetian province and try and join the HRE, but that's fraught with its own problems of getting up here to border the HRE. So odds are that's not going to happen. Focus on Poland, Lithuania, and Hungary, and the core Quinlu. Thank you. Hope you enjoyed it. Best of luck. You'll need it.